Hello friend, this is an overview of the online training program which is Mastering ISO IEC 17025 2017 and Certified Internal Auditor. This standard ISO IEC 17025 2017, it's related to laboratory accreditation, and the standard title is General Requirements for the Competence of Testing and Calibration Laboratories. The actual training program has 53 video lectures and quizzes of more than 21 hours duration, and there is a comprehensive assignment of about 2 hours duration. So you can say this whole program one can complete in 4 working days. If you engage yourself for the full working day for 4 days, then you can complete this program. So it is equivalent to 4 days training program, which is instructor-led training program. This program is being offered by Labtech Institute India, which is a ISO 9001-2015 certified company. Labtech Institute is basically providing services to various laboratories for their accreditation to ISO IEC 17025, as well as proficiency testing and reference material producer, and also providing consultancy and training services to IATF 16949 quality management system, that is basically automotive industry quality management system. Now let's see the objective of this training program. First of all, it is for development of competency and managerial skill related to accreditation of testing and calibration laboratories. And secondly, effective auditing of ISO IEC 17025 2017 quality management system of accredited test or calibration laboratory. So it covers both the implementation aspect of an accredited of a laboratory for accreditation, for getting new accreditation or sustaining or improving on their existing accreditation, and also it gives the effective auditing skill, understanding of how to do the audit of ISO IEC 17025 2017. The program can benefit the following group of personnel: that is, working in executive position in a test or calibration laboratory, aspirant for becoming assessor with accreditation agency in future, responsible for development and sustenance of quality management system in an accredited test or calibration laboratory, usually designated as quality manager, top management personnel of a testing or calibration laboratory to understand the depth of the standard, section in charge of a test or calibration laboratory, they can understand the standards requirement in depth and they can do much better in their job. It is also useful for quality assurance professional of a parent organization which is having an internal laboratory. That laboratory may not be accredited as of now, or may be accredited, and the quality assurance professional of the parent organization who are associated with the laboratory, so for them also it is useful. Other quality assurance professional in parent organization who are engaged in other activities, they can also take this program. The benefit they will get is that they can become the auditor for the laboratory audit activity. Then enhancing your career in test or calibration laboratory to managerial level. Those who are working in a junior level, they can enhance their career to managerial level by getting a in-depth knowledge and skill about this standard. Also, it is useful for an individual who is providing consultancy for laboratory accreditation. So here are the salient features of this training program. The course material is organized in sequence of several sections and subsections, At the end of each main sections there are some quiz which will help recapitulation of the lessons learned from the training program. Plenty of downloadable materials are provided which are very useful for preparing documents such as quality manual, system procedures, etc., and also very useful for conducting audit in practice and also enhancing technical knowledge. This downloadable material includes the comprehensive audit checklist, which gives the full description of auditable clauses of the standard. So that way, that is very helpful for knowing the standard. If even those who are not having the copy of the standard, they can get the complete information from the audit checklist, which is provided as a downloadable material. The participant needs to complete an assignment after completion of the study of the course material, and finally a certificate of successful completion of Mastering ISO IEC 17025-2017 and Certified Internal Auditor training will be issued by the instructor and Udemy. Here is the Udemy website. If you see how it presents the program, you can click on the link in this video. Below the video, if you go to the description section, the link is provided. If you click the link, you will come to the Udemy website. We'll explain that in the last part of this section, and it is very attractively priced as of now, and you can see the student feedback as of now of this course, which is basically meeting or exceeding the expectation of the students who have taken this course from all over across the globe. If we see the content of the training program, here it is. First, what is quality management system and quality management system audit, that is explained. Then the general information about laboratory accreditation is provided. Then comes the clauses of the standard, where section 1, 2 and 3 of the standard basically describes the scope, normative reference, terms and definitions. Subsequent to this, from section 4 the auditable clause comes. Section 4 is general requirement, then section 5 structural requirement, section 6 resource requirement, section 7 process requirement, and section 8 management system requirement. So number of auditable clauses, the main clauses, are less compared to ISO 9001-2015. Then we have discussed in details the risk and opportunity assessment, which is also necessary, which is also part of the activity in this standard. So that is discussed in details in line with ISO 31000. And then there is detailed internal audit guideline, which is in line with ISO 19011-2018. So this is the guideline standard, ISO guideline standard for auditing any quality management system. Then we have discussed and explained the documentation of quality manual and quality system procedure, so that you can make your own documentation. Then another very important thing is specific requirements of accreditation agency. Apart from the standards requirement, accreditation agency, they also stipulate certain requirements depending on their locations. So those are very important part of your accreditation process. So these requirements are also discussed in details. Then there is a summary where all the sections, basically the summary is once again reproduced, so that you can recap your knowledge gained through this training program. And there is the assignment, how to complete the assignment, that methodology is described. And then there is a supplement section, which is list of important records for accredited laboratory. So here how the section comes one by one, we'll just glance through, and only few sections will be elaborated here so that you can get a feel of the actual training program. So second comes the general information about laboratory accreditation. If you want to see the general information, the important thing is what is laboratory accreditation. So accreditation is the process in which certification of competency, authority or credibility is presented. Accreditation means formal recognition by a national or international body that a testing or calibration laboratory is competent to carry out specific tests or calibrations. In other words, it is the recognition of laboratory's competence and capability by a national or international body, and a technical scope will be associated with it. So that technical scope will be in details. It will describe the complete list of tests or calibrations, their ranges, their applicable standard methods, and for calibration also CMC, that is calibration measurement capability. So that is also part of the certificate. So you can see the key word for accreditation is competency for the defined technical scope, which is competency term is included in the title of the standard itself. So it is all basically aimed to the competency of the laboratory. Now, how accreditation is different from certification? We know a lot of certifications, ISO 9001, 14001, 45001, like that. So how accreditation is different from these certifications? Well, certification, if we see, is a procedure by which a third party, that is certification body, gives a written assurance that a product, process or service of an organization conforms to specified requirements. For specified requirements of ISO 9001 or ISO 14001, the certification assures the clients that the organization has in place an effective quality or environmental management system, that is QMS or EMS. Certification is not appropriate for laboratories or inspection bodies, as it does not recognize the technical competency and validity of results. Your results of certification, your results acceptability will depend on the customer. The auditors are not testing, not verifying the validity of the results. Auditors are not getting into the technical part of the validation of the results in certification. Whereas if we want to see what is accreditation, it's a procedure by which an authoritative body, that is called accreditation agency, gives formal recognition that a body, that is laboratory, it is called a body, conformity assessment body, and persons, that is the authorized signatory persons, are competent to carry out specific task, and that specific task is the detailed scope of the laboratory. It assures the client that the test, calibration procedures and results are technically valid and recognizes the technical competency of laboratory staff. Here your auditor will be from the same technical field, so that he will assure that your technical activities of laboratories are being done in the appropriate manner as it is defined in the standards. So they will assure the technical validity to the outside world. Criteria for ISO IEC 17025 includes all management system requirements of ISO 9001 which are relevant to laboratory activities. Here these management system requirements are presented in a fairly simplified manner, covering the various relevance to the laboratory activities. Therefore, it also endorses that the laboratory operates the management system effectively. So this statement is written in the standard itself. So a laboratory which is having ISO IEC 17025 accreditation does not need in addition ISO 9001 certification. Now we'll see the global perspective of the laboratory accreditation. The International Laboratory Accreditation Corporation, that is in abbreviated term is ILAC, that is the whole umbrella in the global level. And this ILAC is International Organization for Accreditation Bodies operating in accordance with ISO IEC 17011 and involved in accreditation of conformity assessment bodies including calibration laboratories using ISO IEC 17025, testing laboratories again ISO IEC 17025, for medical testing laboratories it is using ISO 15189, and for inspection bodies it is ISO IEC 17020, and for proficiency testing providers it is ISO IEC 17043. So all these 5 standards comes under the ILAC Accreditation Corporation. Accreditation is independent evaluation of conformity assessment bodies against recognized standards to carry out specific activities, that is the scope, to ensure their impartiality and competence. In all these standards there will be a well defined scope which will be very, very objective, and very, very details will be provided in that. Through this application of national and international standards, government, procurers and consumers can have confidence in the calibration and test results, inspection reports and certifications provided. Accreditation bodies are established in many economies with the primary purpose of ensuring that conformity assessment bodies are subject to oversight by an authoritative body. So there are few accreditation bodies established under ILAC at different parts of the globe. So they will basically conduct the audit and they will oversee as an authoritative body that how the laboratory or the conformity assessment bodies are performing. These accreditation bodies then assess and accredit conformity assessment bodies, that is called laboratories, to the relevant standards. The arrangements enhance the acceptance of products and services across national borders, thereby creating a framework to support international trade through the removal of technical barriers. It means that once your laboratory is accredited and you are certifying some product with your test report or calibration report, so then that will be valid all over the world, irrespective of which one is your accredited agency. So it removes the international trade barrier basically. It supports the international trade. So verification once done will be acceptable to all agencies. So there are 5 recognized regional corporation bodies under ILAC MRA. They are IAAC, then EA, APAC, ARAC and AFRAC. We'll just see in brief that what are these regional corporation bodies. IAAC is Inter-American Accreditation Corporation. Their scope in ILAC MRA includes calibration laboratory, testing laboratory, medical testing and inspection. So the standards are 17025, 15189 and 17020. Then comes EA, that is European Corporation for Accreditation. They are recognized for all these things above. Additionally, they are also recognized for proficiency testing providers, that is ISO IEC 17043. Then APAC is Asia Pacific Accreditation Corporation Incorporated. They are also having all these 5 types of laboratory within their scope of accreditation. ARAC is Arab Accreditation Corporation, which are having their scope for calibration testing, medical testing and inspection, and proficiency testing is not under their scope. Then the fifth one is AFRAC, which is African Accreditation Cooperation. For them also these 4 activities are in the scope, and proficiency testing is not included. Here is some list of laboratory accreditation bodies in different countries, and USA, there are several: UK, United Kingdom Accreditation Service, Australia, National Association of Testing Authorities, NATA, and ALAB. And in India it is NABL, National Accreditation Board for Testing and Calibration Laboratories. If you visit ILAC website for the signatory search, you will get to know that in what region what accreditation bodies are presently available and what is their scope in respect to that 5 standards which we have discussed. Now these key points on this particular standard, that is 17025 2017, is ISO is worldwide federation of national standard from more than 140 countries, called International Organization for Standardization. This is the abbreviation of ISO. It has got nothing to do with the English term ISO. IEC is International Electrotechnical Committee. So this standard is joint release by ISO and IEC. There are many other standards which are joint release of ISO and IEC. And 17025 is the number, and 2017 is the latest year of revision. This 3rd edition 2017 cancels and replaces the 2nd edition 2005 version, which has been technically revised. What are the main changes are here? The risk-based thinking applied in this edition has enabled some reduction in prescriptive requirements and their replacement by performance-based requirements. So the basic use of risk-based thinking is actually reduction in prescriptive requirements, that is some kind of documentation only, and rather those are now replaced by performance-based requirements, which are actual technical requirements. Then there is a greater flexibility than in previous edition in the requirements for processes, procedures, documented information and organizational responsibilities. So a lot of flexibilities are given. One example is that in the organizational responsibility, the previous version used to call for deputies for important functions, which is not there now in the new version. A definition of laboratory has been added. So a definition of laboratory has been added in the sense that apart from testing and calibration, there is a sampling activity also, which is collecting the samples by means of statistical sampling process. So that is also a laboratory activity. So sampling also is added as a laboratory activity. There can be a laboratory which is only responsible for sampling, provided those samples will be collected for subsequent test or calibration purpose. Now then we have the detailed discussion on the various clauses, each and every clause, subclause, and the steps for accreditation. Here at a glance you can see the various auditable clauses. There is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are the main clauses: general requirements, structural requirements, resource requirements, process requirements, and management system requirements. And you can see that management system requirement, the number of clauses are much less compared to that in ISO 9001. Those who are familiar with ISO 9001, they can see this. There is another option here for management system requirements. One can go for option B also. That is, if your company, suppose you are a parent manufacturing company and you have your internal laboratory, so you have a ISO 9001 2015 certification for your company. So that part meets most of the requirement of these management system requirements. So you can go for option B, where that documentation ISO 9001 will be sufficient. Maybe some addition you may like to do, but otherwise that will be also recognized as your management system requirements if it is covering the laboratory activities also. So this is two options are given. So this is the flexibility, and other clauses are you have to comply with, whether you go for option A or option B. Here other clauses you have to comply with. So each and every sections are discussed in the actual training program in details. Like this section 4 talks about general requirements, then section 5 structural, and then there is detailed understanding of scope of accreditation. See, the scope document is very crucial for laboratory. Even at the time of filing the application, you have to define your scope very well. If you miss to define certain important activities from the scope, then you are actually missing it, because the accreditation agency may not consider it at a later stage. So scope is very important. So understanding of the scope, how the scope is to be defined for application and how it is to be sustained. So all these things are discussed in details. Then here is the list of the mandatory procedures basically. So you can see it is very less number of system procedures are called for in this laboratory accreditation process. Then the resource requirement section 6. In the section 6 itself there are 6 subsections: general, personnel, facilities and environment, equipment, meteorological, traceability, externally provided products and services, which is subcontracting and purchasing. So each and every section is discussed in details. Here is only the first page of the presentation of each section. Section 6.1 is general, then personnel, then facilities and environmental conditions. Here is just an example of this section, facilities and environmental condition. First, we have discussed in details the content of the standard with necessary explanations. So this is the content of the standard. So after having explained that, then from the implementation perspective, how it is to be acted upon, what kind of actions to be taken by the laboratory, how they have to organize their work, and all these things are elaborated in implementation part. And then there is a third part given in each and every section, which is the audit part, how the activities will be assessed for effectiveness. So that is also elaborated in each and every section. Here it is at a glance. So then next section is 6.4 equipment. 6.5 is meteorological traceability. This meteorological traceability is again a very interesting and very specific subject in laboratory accreditation. This basically calls for the traceability with International System of Unit. So SI unit. So maybe some of you are knowing that SI unit had undergone a major change on 20th May 2019, which is World Meteorology Day also. So here basically earlier there were 7 base units for defining SI units. Those 7 base units are now not the fundamental definition. These are replaced by 7 defining constants. So these constants are natural constants. So these 7 constants are the primary definition now. These are the 7 constants. And in the SI unit, if you see, this inner circle represents the 7 constants. That is H is C is velocity of light, H is basically Planck constant, this is delta nu, this is the cesium hyperfine frequency, then E is the minimum charge, elementary charge, is charge of an electron, K is called Boltzmann constant, this is small k, and this Na is Avogadro number, and this KCD, this is the luminous efficacy of visible radiation. So this is how the 7 constant values are defined, and from there now the 7 base units are getting derived. This is the basic change in SI unit. This is also elaborated because it is important to understand for the traceability for laboratory purpose. Then externally provided products and services, which is basically related to your purchasing and subcontracting activity. Then it comes process requirements, which is the main operational part of the laboratory. So under process requirements there are 11 sub clauses. So these are the 11 sub clauses if you see. So this is the most long section of the standard, and in the 7.2, that is related to the methods, there are again two subsections, that is selection and verification of methods, and second one is validation of method. So this validation of method, if your method is a non-standard method, then it needs to be validated. So some of you are aware of the process validation of special processes like that in ISO 9001. Here it is your test method validation. So this is another important activity of the laboratory if you have a non-standard method. So these are all elaborated in deep details in the actual training program section wise. So this 7.2 has two subsections, and then 7.3 sampling, then 4 handling of items, 7.5 is technical records, 7.6 is measurement uncertainty. This is again a new kind of terminology. What is measurement uncertainty? In a industrial scenario, we have heard of maybe measurement system analysis, that is MSA. Here it is different from that. This is much improved version. Measurement uncertainty, if you are defining, then you don't need any MSA further for your test and calibrations, which is recognized. So this is a much improved method, advanced method of validating your measurement system. Then ensuring validity of results. So here it is basically the quality control activity of the laboratory, how you are ensuring that results which you are producing is correct. So both internal comparisons and external comparison with external agencies, both are involved in this. Then reporting of results is the most important output of the laboratory, that is the report will speak finally. So this section is also a very long section. It is elaborated in deep details. And then comes complaints, non-conforming work, and lastly this control of data and information management. This is another new section added, that is control of data and information management, because now the IT, basically the information management field, IT field, is getting popular in laboratory also. So a lot of data are in the soft form, so how those things are to be dealt with. Then comes the management system requirements, which you have seen. It is quite simplified compared to ISO 9001. It is, we are covering only option A, because option B is out of scope, that is nothing but ISO 9001. So in option A, you can have management system documentation, then control of management system documents, then control of records, then actions to address risk and opportunities, then improvement, then corrective actions, internal audit, and finally management review. In this entire management system requirements, there is no need for a documented procedure in option A. So that is a massive simplification of your documentation requirement. Then there is risk of opportunity assessment, risk and opportunity assessment. This is a very important part of the laboratory. If these are taken care, this assessment is done well before, then you can prevent many negative incidents. And also if you identify the opportunity in a structured manner, you can increase your business gains. So this is about risk and opportunity, so which is basically from prescriptive requirements to performance based requirements. This is the focus, so purpose of risk and opportunity assessment. At a glance, you can see these are the various risk aspects in the laboratory, in impartiality, personnel, then facility and environmental conditions. Similarly, there will be many more in equipment, process, all these things. So these are details discussed in the actual training program in quite details, and this Excel file is given where you can do the risk analysis and opportunity analysis. Then comes the internal audit guideline. This is also elaborated in details with examples, and here basically you may be knowing, if those who are familiar with ISO 9001, this ISO 19011 is the guideline for internal or any quality management system auditing, whether it is internal or external. Then there are 4 phases of audit. Basically, the first phase is audit planning and preparation, second phase is performing the audit, then third phase is reporting the audit, and fourth phase is the corrective action and follow-up. all these phases are discussed in deep details. This section is useful for your ISO 9000 or any other quality management system also. Then there is a section of documentation of quality manual and quality system procedure. This section is quite elaborative, and some sample part of quality manual and some sample quality system procedure is given and explained how from the standard those are actually derived. So with that knowledge and skill, you can make your own quality manual and system procedures. Then there are these specific requirements of accreditation agency, which is very important. Here there are several types of requirements. One is general requirements for accreditation, and then comes the basically sign of the contract document. So it has to be signed off. So what are the basically the elements of this contract document, that is explained. Then there comes the use of symbol. Once your laboratory is accredited, you will be using the accreditation symbol of the accreditation agency and maybe ILAC symbol also. So there are some restrictions, some norms for using the symbol. Those are explained here, and you can use these symbols in your publicity documents also by following those norms. Then your participation in proficiency testing and inter-laboratory comparison. This is the quality control activity of laboratory, ensuring validity of the results. So this part is also comes under specific requirement, because the accreditation agency, they stipulate certain requirements for these activities, because this ultimately is validating your results. So your performance of the laboratory is getting evaluated on long-term basis through this. So this is also a focus area. And then traceability to SI unit for equipment. So this, how you have to maintain the traceability for your equipment and reference material, there also the accreditation agency stipulates certain requirements. So those are also very important for maintaining the traceability of your result. So this comes under 6.5 clause. And there is another specific requirement of accreditation agency, which is policy on measurement uncertainty. So for what test, what calibration, you have to estimate the measurement uncertainty and how you will go about it. So all these things are explained. Which are the things where you can exclude measurement uncertainty, what simplification is permitted, all these things are explained in details in the accreditation agency specific documents. Then another important thing is that for certain laboratories there are some specific technical criteria, which is mainly applicable for calibration laboratories. For testing laboratories also it is there, but now in the global scenario it is mainly made applicable for calibration laboratories and very specific types of laboratories. So these specific technical criteria are also explained, which is again the requirement of accreditation agency. And it has been shown that how you can search these documents in the appropriate site, so that you don't have to keep anything in mind. You can always search the latest version of the document, because you have to always comply with the latest versions. So that methodology is also shown. Then the summary part, I told you that whatever has been the part of the training program, in a summarized manner, this was basically reproduced to help you recap your knowledge gained. So these are all the sections. Summary is further discussed. So for quick revision of your knowledge gained, and then there is a guidance given for completing the assignment, and then there is a supplement given, which is important records for accredited laboratory. So this is about the training program description basically. Now you have seen that it is quite elaborative, and it is a highly professional training, which will be a good step forward for becoming a certified internal auditor with a complete in-depth understanding of ISO IAC 17025 laboratory accreditation process for testing and calibration laboratory. Now we'll just briefly explain how to buy this training course, and you have to go to the section below the video, and there will be some descriptive sentences where you can see a term more, because it may not come in the page. So you can click on the more word, and then further it will open up, and then you will see that there are clickable link. There is a clickable link for direct registering to this training program. So that link, if you click, it will take you to Udemy online training page of this particular program, which will show the preview video. You can also open and see there, as well as the price also, and you will get a option to gift someone. If you want to gift this training program to maybe some of your subordinate or so that is also possible. So basically you have to make a sign up in the Udemy, which is free sign up, and then from your you sign in your account, you can give this training program to others also, with somebody's name and email ID you have to put. So when the person gets the message in his email, and in his email when he opens, if he clicks, he will get the training program, and you are gifting means you are paying for the training program. So that option is also there. And if you are not sure about the benefit of the training or your return of investment for this training, there is absolutely no problem. This Udemy platform offers 30 days full money back guarantee if you return the training within 30 days. So, and also once you purchase the program, you will get lifetime access of the program in your mobile. So all these videos will be accessible in your mobile for lifetime, and you can get access from your computer also. You can cast it on television or any other similar devices like some tablet or whatever it is. So those are which are connected to internet. So in Android platform or in Apple platform also, iOS also, in both the platform it works. So that is very handy, so that you can spend your time in the way you want to spend it, and this whole things will remain as an asset in your account in Udemy, which is lifetime access. Even if this training program is removed from Udemy, still you will have the access once you have taken the program. So it will not go away from your account ever. So best wishes from Labtech Institute. This is end of this preview program. Thank you. I hope this may be useful for you. Thank you.